So, hi everybody. Uh, Today, I just want to talk about a different topic, like how these developing countries struggle economic wise and on their political situations and maybe corruption and that sort of stuff. So, good day, everybody. Let's have a talk on the economic crisis in Sri Lanka and also the role of the International Monetary Fund, like IMF, in addressing it. And Sri Lanka is currently facing a severe economic crisis, and it's very important to understand the root cause and potential solution to this crisis, right? So first, let's talk about economic situation in Sri Lanka. The country has been facing high levels of debt, fiscal deficit, and balance of payments crisis, and the country's external debt has been steadily increasing over the past decade, with total external debt reaching over 56 billion in 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic has worsened the situation, leading to a decline in tourism and its remittances. Uh, so, so these are like two of the country's major source of foreign exchange. So, to address this crisis, Sri Lanka turned into IMF and their support. So, the IMF is an international organization that provides financial assistance to countries facing economic crisis. So, in June 2020, if I remember, the IMF approved a $1.5 billion loan for Sri Lanka under its external extended fund facility, the EFF program. So the program aims to support Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka's efforts to stabilize its economy, address its balance of payment crisis, and to promote sustainable economic growth. So, but the IMF loan came with conditions. However, Sri Lanka must meet certain targets to receive the funds. So, these conditions include implementing fiscal reforms, improving tax collection, reducing government spending. So, the Sri Lanka also been asked to address structural issues, in the economy, such as like improving the business climate, promoting trade, and reducing the red tape, that sort. So while the IMF loan has provided some relief to Sri Lankan economic crisis, there are concerns about the impact of the conditions attached to the loan. Some experts argue that what do you call that? The conditions may result in a in austerity measures that could negatively affect the most vulnerable in the society, including like low income households and workers. Moreover, there are questions about this effectiveness of the IMF approach in addressing economic crisis. Critics argue that the IMF focus on fiscal austerity measures may not be the best solution for the countries facing economic crisis, and that the organization should instead focus on promoting growth and addressing structural issues in the economy. So, In conclusion, the economic crisis in Sri Lanka is a complex issue that requires multifaceted solution. The IMF has played a role in providing finance support to Sri Lanka, but the conditions attached to the loan have raised concerns about the impact on the most vulnerable in the society. It's also important for policymakers to consider alternative solutions to address the root cause of the crisis, like promote sustainable economic growth uh, as such. So, another very big issue Sri Lanka is facing is uh, corruption in Sri Lanka, and how the role of its politicians in it, and well as the recent riots and their impact on the economy. So, we will also discuss the efforts of Namal Rajapaksa, a young politician in Sri Lanka. He wants to change the economy for the better, and why his ideas are not being reviewed. And corruption has been a major issue in Sri Lanka for many years. The country has consistently ranked poorly on corruption indices. With the Transparency International Corruption Perceptions Index ranking Sri Lanka 91st out of 180 countries in 2020. So, the corruption in Sri Lanka is often linked to the economy. The corruption of Sri Lanka is often linked to the country's politicians, who are accused of using their power and influence to enrich themselves and their families. So, one prominent example of corruption in Sri Lanka is the bond scandal that occurred in, I think, 2015. So, the scandal involved the misuse of public funds by government officials, including the former governor of the central bank. Also, the scandal led to protests and calls for reform, but many politicians implicated in the scandal have not faced consequences. And if you take the recent riots in Sri Lanka, have also had a significant impact on the economy. These riots, which occurred in, I guess, March 2022, were sparked by a dispute over land development project, I guess. So, the riots resulted in destruction of property and the loss of life, and have caused significant disruptions to businesses and the economy. Now, if you take this figure, Namal Rajapaksa, member of the parliament and son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, personally, I know that he's been working to change the economy for better. He has advocated for reforms to attract foreign investment, promote entrepreneurship, and create jobs. However, his ideas have not been reviewed or implemented, and he has faced criticism from his own party for speaking out against corruption. So, corruption in Sri Lanka has had a significant impact on the country's economy and its people. Politicians have been accused of using their power for personal gain, and efforts to combat corruption have been slow and ineffective. So, the recent riots have only added to the challenges facing Sri Lanka economy, while this guy, Namal's ideas for reform are promising. It remains to be seen whether they will be reviewed and implemented is the question. And it's crucial for Sri Lanka, the leaders, to prioritize reforms and address corruption to ensure a sustainable and prosperous future for the country. So that's what I have to say. So let's see you guys on another video. Yeah, I'll explain, like, for an example, like I'll talk about those YouTubers who gives bad publicity to Sri Lanka, and even the riots and recent gas crisis, electric, the people not having electricity, those sorts of things in the next video. Thank you. Any questions, comments? You can write, you can comment below. Yeah, thank you. See you with another video.